This is the January 2026 meeting for the City of Troy Zoning Board of Appeals. Welcome all of our guests and visitors and applicants tonight. Glad to have you. We will start tonight with our roll call. We have a couple members who are not here at this point. We'll call the roll, and if they join, we will add them at that point. So, Mr. Evans, if you could call the roll.
Mr. McCauley.
Here.
Mr. Eisenbacher.
Here.
Mr. Desmond.
Here.
Mr. Kinkry.
Here.
Mr. Bossenbrook.
Here.
Mr. Fox and Mr. Green are not here.
All right. We do have a quorum to proceed, so thank you, Mr. Evans. All right, we'll move on to our statement of procedure, where Mr. Desmond, to my immediate right, he will read our statement of procedure, which kind of dictates how we will handle and hear the cases that are before us.
The Zoning Board of Appeals is a group of 7 of your neighbors appointed by the Troy City Council to decide on requests for variances and other matters that are brought before them. A variance is a relaxation of the literal provisions of the zoning ordinance. Applicants must indicate a hardship or practical difficulty with the land that would warrant the granting of the variance. The board will hear the items in the order that they appear on the approved agenda. When an item is called, the chairperson will verify that the applicant is present. Then the city administration will summarize the facts of the case. If there is less than a full board, 7 members present at a meeting, an applicant may request a postponement so his or her request can be heard by a full board. If there is no request for a postponement, the applicant will then be given an opportunity to address the board to explain the justification for the action requested. After the applicant makes their presentation and answers any questions that the board may have, the chairperson will open the public hearing. Any person wishing to speak on the request should raise their hand, and when recognized by the chairperson, come up to the podium. The speaker should identify themselves with name and address, indicate their relationship to the property in question, i.e. next door neighbor, live behind property, etc., and state whether they are in favor of or against the variance request and give reasons for their opinion. Comments must be directed through the chairperson. Comments should be kept as brief as possible and closely pertain to the matter under consideration. Only one person will be recognized by the chairperson to speak at one time. At the conclusion of public comments, the chairperson will close the public hearing. Once the public hearing is closed, no other public comment will be taken unless in response to a specific question by a member of the board. The board will then make a motion to approve, deny, or postpone the request. In order for the request to pass, a minimum of 4 votes are needed. If the request is not granted, the applicant has the right to appeal the board's decision to Oakland County Circuit Court.
All right, thank you, Mr. Desmond. That's our statement of procedure. We will next move on to item 3, which is approving the minutes from our last meeting, which was in November 2025. And unless there's any discussion from members of the board, motion to approve.
I move we approve the minutes as written.
Second. All right, motion to approve, seconded by Mr. Eisenbacher. I think we're ready to vote. Mr. Evans?
Mr. Bossenbrook.
Yes.
Mr. Eisenbacher.
Yes.
Mr. Kinkry.
Yes.
Mr. McCauley.
Yes.
Mr. Desmond.
Yes.
All right, minutes have been approved from November. Now we'll turn to tonight's agenda as printed. Unless there's any discussion from members of the board, we will go ahead and approve the agenda as has been printed in the packet. Consider that approved. Which takes us to our hearings of cases tonight. We have one on the docket, and that is at 2578 Devonwood. And so we'll begin with Mr. Evans. If you could introduce this application to us, give us an overview, and then we will invite the applicant forward.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And as indicated in the agenda, this is a variance request for property at 2578 Devonwood. The agenda states that it's to allow a home addition to be set back 9 feet from the side property line and 35 feet from the rear property line. The zoning ordinance requires setbacks of 15 feet from the side property line and 45 feet from the rear property line. Some construction has already occurred. This is an aerial overview of the neighborhood with property lines shown. At the top here is I-75, on the left is Adams, to the right is Beach, and at the bottom is Long Lake, and the property is outlined in red here in the middle of the slide. I'll continue to zoom in, and this is the closer image of the neighborhood. Now, this is a zoning overlay. Everything you see in yellow is zoned single-family residential, the same as the property. That's subject for tonight's hearing. And zooming in further to give a little more detail to the property as well as some of the surrounding area. Now, this is the applicant's site plan. Devonwood is at the bottom. They show the existing home. This garage is present in the form of foundation only, and they're seeking a 9-foot setback for the side property line where 15 feet is required. And their site plan also shows they're proposing a 35-foot setback where 45 feet is required. Now, the garage is proposed to be connected with a breezeway right here in the middle. The applicant has provided in your agenda packet some sample elevations of what the finished product would look like. Just a little bit of explanation, and I'm sure the applicant can provide better detail. The builder did receive a permit to build a detached garage from the city, but apparently after some communication, and he started construction, that's why anyone who went out there would see, the last time I was out there, there was a slab, the foundation was built. But they had stopped work, and after communication with the association, they came back in and decided that they wanted to connect them up with the breezeway and also maintain what's there now in terms of the foundation for the garage. So that's where we're at. So if they're successful here, they're going to be able to proceed with this. And if not, they'll come up with something else. I'll turn it back over to the board for any questions.
I think Mr. Eisenbacher has a question.
Yes, in the agenda packet, it said that the building permit had been approved.
Right. The building permit for a detached garage had been approved. Thank you for that question. So when you go out there and you see the foundation, that's for the detached garage. Well, the applicant can provide more information, but he indicated that that was not okay with the association, so he willingly stopped construction. The applicant came up with this plan to connect the garage with the house. And so they're seeking approval for this, but they're going to need variances.
Okay, but the setbacks weren't in violation when that original building permit was issued?
Right, so a detached garage is required to be in the backyard
Uh-huh,
and 6 feet from the side or rear property lines. Once it's attached, such
Okay.
as in this instance with the breezeway, then you got to meet the same setbacks as if it were part of the house.
okay, so when it's detached, you have smaller setbacks than when it's attached,
Correct.
but it's required to be attached by the association. Okay.
Mr. Kingery.
There is no other garage on that property right now, is there?
I believe there is from discussions with the homeowner, but you can confirm by asking the homeowner when they're up here. They are here tonight.
All right, any other questions for city staff? Nope. All right, thanks for those clarifying remarks. We will invite the applicant forward and/or any of their representatives if you want to come to the podium. And if you could just give us your name and we have what you submitted in writing, but we would be happy to hear what you'd like to present regarding the statement of practical difficulty and any other related topics. So, thank you.
Yep, my name is Sean Horvath, and I'm with Lunar Construction, and we've been contracted to build this garage and proposed breezeway roof to the garage. The hardships that we're proposing this evening is basically based on the size and shape of the lot. As you could saw in that aerial view, I don't think there's one lot exactly the same shape or size. On top of that, we do have a 9-foot easement, as you can see on that plot plan that's going through that particular lot. So given those two circumstances, that's what we're proposing as our hardships for tonight. And then we have the homeowner with us today. That's Julie.
Hi.
Yes.
Just briefly, I know we've opened the
Sure. We can clarify that. I mean, it was read by Mr. Desmond in our opening statement, but I guess in this situation where we do not have 7 members on the board, it is, the applicant has the opportunity to request a postponement to our next hearing. It's not something we have to grant. We can take it under consideration. If they, in the next meeting, we may have 7 members, but we can consider that. And it's just, for the record, it was in our opening instructions, but just in case you weren't aware of that. And yeah, Mr. Evans.
And if I may add to that, for the applicant's benefit, if they're to request,
I'm okay.
if the applicant's to request, you would do it now, no further testimony would be taken.
No, we agree to continue on for this evening.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm okay. Yeah, I'm okay. Yeah. I'm okay, yes.
Okay, no problem. Okay, thank you. So is there any questions for the applicant, for members of the board? Mr. McCauley?
So you were informed in September that this did not meet your HOA requirements
Formed,
prior to being built, anything being built, any construction taking place?
I was informed,
Can you maybe get a little closer to the mic?
I'm
Just-
sorry. September 17th, I believe. Let me see. September 23rd, I'm sorry. September 23rd.
Okay. And construction started,
October 27th.
Okay.
But we'd been going back and forth with designs and such.
okay. When, may I ask the builder, when were you informed of this HOA violation?
Bob, who is not with us this evening, he's out of town. He's been doing most of the communication, but from what I remember, we dug the foundation, we poured the floor, set the block, and I think that's when a neighbor drove by and called our office directly and said, you guys have to stop work now. And at that time, I believe the trusses were even delivered to the job, so.
So prior to that, any communication she had with the HOA you were not aware of?
Not 100%, no.
Okay,
No.
thank you.
Mr. Kenkre?
Is there a garage on the property today?
I'm sorry?
Is there a garage on the property today?
No, what you have on the property right now is what we've been approved for with the city of Troy, is the foundation is in, the floor, the garage floor is poured, and the block is laid.
Yeah, Mr. McCauley?
Does the current house have a garage?
I'm
Oh,
sorry,
yeah.
yes, it does, it's an attached
Okay.
garage, correct,
Oh.
yeah.
Any other questions? Mr. Kenkre?
So the current house has the attached garage, so this is like a second garage that
In addition, yeah.
that is a addition, okay. Okay. And there will be like a driveway that kind of can pull the cars into the garage, or is it more like a storage that you're planning? What are you planning for it as a separate
For
structure?
cars.
For cars, okay.
Yeah.
So if I could add, Julie and her husband Paul, they collect, classic cars, is that correct? So obviously, these cars have a lot of value to them, so they need somewhere to store these vehicles. And also, they need somewhere to store their personal, everyday vehicles. So, so that was the reason how this project started, based on a detached garage, storing their classic cars, and simple as that. So when the HOA got involved, I have not seen it myself, but according to the bylaws, they do not approve detached garages in the neighborhood. So with what we have in place, as far as where the work has begun and stopped, with the location of where the detached was going to go, we came up with this plan. We said, okay, well, this is what we have. I mean, because you can't even imagine, I mean, the footings, the cement, the block, I mean, there's some substantial costs in this project right now, and it's just sitting there. And so we came up with this plan because the bylaws does not exactly state how they attach it to the house. It just says they do not accept detached garages. Now, I personally live in an association in my neighborhood, and when I applied for a permit, I had to have the HOA sign off on it first before the city would issue that. There was no communication with the association or the city in this particular project. This was, you know, everything was a go until neighbors saw work taking place, and now we're at a dead stop for how long now?
Since October.
Since October.
But
I have a question.
Yeah.
We have a letter here from Mr. Greg James from the HOA, and he indicates on their recorded deed restrictions, they prohibit detached structures and multiple garages on a single lot, meaning regardless of whether it was attached or detached, that multiple garages are prohibited in the HOA. Are you aware of that in the bylaws?
Richard Linnell, 2804 Orchard Lake Road, Suite 203, Kego Harbor, Michigan, 48320. Appreciate the question, Board Member Desmond. What I think is important to understand here is that this is a subdivision, at least based on my brief review of the restrictions, that I believe was created by one of the founders of Robertson Brothers in 1971, 1 year after I was born, which is a long time ago. And the restrictions themselves, at least as discussed in the letter that you just referenced, are not as succinct as that letter may portend that they are. The restrictions, which is not unusual when you have a subdivision which is based on covenants, conditions, and restrictions, they write at the time what they think, and not that it was inappropriate at the time, I'm sure it was, but then things change, people change the way they live, the community of Troy becomes a higher end place, and people want things as part of their living. And so I would just want to draw the attention of the board to the fact that there is no prohibition that says you can't have 2 garages, you can't have a detached garage. I understand, or at least I think I understand, how they are trying to read the words, and I'm not trying to suggest that they're manufacturing something that is out of thin air, but what I would put to the board is that it is not a clear restriction. This is not an instance where my clients just said, hey, I know what it says, but I don't know if the association is really going to do anything, so why don't I just, do it. In fact, there are several instances in the subdivision of which people have expanded garages. And so this is not a unique situation at all. And as far as I understand it, and I'm not going to say I know this for a fact yet because I've only recently been brought in, but in those other instances, there's been no approval of any kind. The garages just exist. And to that, and I'm not suggesting that just because you see it, you get to do it, but I would also suggest that that's not an unreasonable way to proceed in addition to the efforts that my client made to make contact with the board. This is not to say something negative about the board. In fact, the whole reason we're here is because my clients want to be good neighbors. Are they excited about having a breezeway? My guess is no. Are they willing to do that because that's what the association is telling them? Yeah. They're not interested in a fight. I think attorneys are great, but I'm not sure they feel the same way, quite honestly. And so I think, and I don't know if it's helping, but I wanted to add that context because obviously the prong about self-created harm, one might look at this and say, well, I mean, geez, they just went in there like a bull in a china shop. And I would put to you that that's not at all what happened. And that this is an effort to I don't want to say make peace, but to accommodate the association and the position they're taking based on their interpretation of the words contained in the restrictions, and to the extent that my clients can sort of thread that needle by possibly obtaining 2 variances and accommodating the request of the association, that's why we're here.
So let me just follow up on that a second. So the letter from, in the packet from Lunar Construction. I think the gentleman just said the same thing. The two identified items that are statement of practical difficulty, one is the size and shape of the lot, and the other is the HOA limitations. So are you saying there is one or there isn't one in terms of an HOA limitation? Because I guess I'm not clear from your answer to Mr. Desmond that when he's asking, are multiple garages permitted or not permitted, detached structures, I guess I'm not clear. Is there a restriction from the HOA or not that's leading to you being here tonight as a statement of practical difficulty?
Well, I don't mean to equivocate, but I want to answer your question. So my answer is there is no restriction that's enforceable that would prohibit a detached garage.
Okay.
I have a feeling if counsel for the HOA was here, he'd say, well, I beg to differ with Mr. Linnell on that. And we'd have to go to court and we'd find out. Because like a lot of restrictions, in this case, that are 65 years old, excuse me, they're not written thinking about what some homeowner might want to do or what some attorney might say or what some court might say. And so I don't want to dance around your question, but I have no problem saying it is not clear, absolutely not clear. There's no prohibition that says you can't have multiple garages. It doesn't exist. And so it's a reading and interpretation. I'm not going to say it's incorrect because it's possible a judge would disagree with me. It happens, unfortunately. Please.
Okay.
No, go ahead, ma'am.
Okay. This beginning of August. We modeled this originally after a few that are already in our sub that are detached. We didn't seek out setting a new precedence for our neighborhood. I spent a month and a half looking for the board. One person was on the board, my neighbor directly next to this. The treasurer told me 3 times, go ahead, it's your lot, build. I have no problem with it. I spent the next month and a half, text messages, emails, Facebook, contacting anyone that I thought was past on the board, could presently be on the board, got no responses. A month and a half later, I got one Facebook message that said potentially Greg might be on the board. Middle of September is the first contact I got. And he said, I'm going to be on the board. And he brought along number 2 man, and we went back and forth for a month. And here we are today.
Mr. McCullough.
Do you have the addresses of those houses that you considered in violation?
No, I do not.
Just to be
But-
clear,
Go ahead.
just to be clear, we don't consider them to be in violation.
Right, because they are waved through, they aren't taken down, they aren't assessed, they aren't,
If the bylaws were correct and they were cited correctly by the association, you're saying there's potentially 2 other houses that would be in violation of that?
Sure.
You don't have those addresses?
I don't know the
Okay.
addresses, but.
Thank you.
I provided pictures, and our board has those photos too. They know who they are, but, yeah.
I would
So-
submit to you that if it's important, my client can go to Google Earth and it will be readily available. We can get you addresses if we are given a little bit of time. And I just would add to my client's comment, the treasurer, the person that verbally, and I wasn't there, but I'll just repeat what my client said, yeah, go ahead, it's your property, is the person on, and I believe this is oriented north, yes, I see that, so to the west. So if somebody was quote-unquote affected, it would be the homeowner to the west, which happens to be the treasurer and happens to be the person that on 3 separate occasions advised my client that it was her property or to some degree, no, I have no issue with it.
Okay, Mr. Eisenbacher.
Okay. So we have 5 different items of the practical difficulty. We're not allowed to consider the cost or any any sunk items, any construction you've
Right,
already done
right. We
in
know
our,
that,
in
yeah.
our deliberations and our understanding. So the first one, you're saying that the practical difficulty is the irregular shape of the property, which makes it harder to site onto the property. The second one, the characteristic which makes compliance with the dimensional requirements difficult must relate to the premises. Obviously, it's not something to do with someone else's property. The third one is the characteristic which makes compliance with the dimensional requirements shall not be of a personal nature. It's not something special. Fourth one, the characteristic which makes compliance with the dimensional requirements difficult must not have been created by the current or previous owner. This one is a bit difficult because you guys are the ones attaching the garage, where if it's detached, it's in compliance. So we're in a catch-22. If you don't attach it, obviously, the association says you're in violation, but if you do attach it, then you're in violation with the city. Okay, so that one is very difficult. And then the last one, the proposed variance will not be harmful or alter the essential character of the area in which the property is located. That's where the homeowners associations come in, because that's
Sure.
what defines the character. So that's where it'd be good for us to have a better understanding of what the language is in the association and what the precedent is with those other properties. They mentioned in the letter from the association that there's 3 other properties with garages, I thought I read.
That are similar to what we want to build?
Yeah,
Okay.
5th line from or 6th line from the bottom. The HOA also provided 3 examples of previously approved garage additions that complied with both HOA deed restrictions and City of Troy zoning requirements.
Okay, so they didn't provide the ones that are detached?
They didn't
Okay.
provide it to us, but they said they provided it to you.
Okay. Okay, so that was probably October. That was just fine.
November 21, it says.
Oh, no, okay, so even November, okay.
I don't know if
Okay,
this.
and that's fine.
I don't
Okay.
know if this helps, but there are other homeowners besides the ones that were mentioned with the detached garage, the
Right.
additional detached garage, that have expanded their attached garage in some, I'm not going to say exactly like this, but effectively what is being proposed here, which I'm guessing is what's being referenced in the document that you're looking at, as opposed to the actual garages that my client referenced, which are actual detached garages in the exact same platted subdivision.
Okay.
And on 2 separate occasions, I've invited the board over, once they kind of convened themselves, and now I believe have 4 members in November, 3 in October, twice. Come over, tell us what you want. 2 separate occasions with the other builder, like his uncle. Tell us what you want. This is what we came up with. They gave us 2 options, either a connect or a full breezeway. And then they still denied us in December. And they told us what they wanted. So, and now here we are. Like I said, here we are, which is disappointing.
So I guess, I mean, I don't want to reiterate my previous question, but I guess the challenge that I have is thinking through this is the shape of the property is not an exceptional characteristic if you were just to build the detached garage. I mean, that would be, setting aside the HOA question for a second, if it's just the detached garage, you could build it regardless of the current shape of the property. Now we have this question of the HOA restriction. We don't have the restriction in front of us, and I guess we're being, it's the applicant's burden to demonstrate each of these elements. And so we don't have the restriction in front of us, and we're getting I'm getting a little bit of an uncertainty. Well, we don't think it's non-compliant, but they do. And I'm not sure how that squares with the evidentiary requirement that this actually is, you can't build a detached garage explicitly. I just don't know. It'd be nice to have either the comparables that Mr. Eisenbacher was talking about or the actual deed restriction in front of us to get a better sense of is this actually, not possible to build this garage without it being attached and the variance. So I'm just a little stuck on that, but I can understand where you're coming from as well. Any other members of the board have questions, comments for the applicant? No? Okay, thank you.
May we have a moment?
Can I, yeah.
Well, we're gonna move on to the next part of the hearing, the public hearing, let other people speak if they want to, and then we can invite you back up for any sort of rebuttal or,
Okay. Good, I have a question for you. And you.
so,
Any questions?
or questions, so thank you.
Thanks. Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
just
you.
grab a seat, go back, and then we will move on to the next portion. So we will open up the public hearing on this matter. We have a couple items that were presented to us, emails. There was a correspondence from the Homeowners Association that has been referenced a couple times. And Mr. Desmond can read those in a second, but I guess we'll first of all invite anyone here who wishes to speak to this matter. Please come to the podium. You could keep your comments pertinent to the for or against the variance request, and if you identify yourself, sir, in relation to the property at question, and we'll be happy to hear from you.
Thank you. My name is Matt Osecki. I am a resident at-large member of the Homeowners Association of Hickory Heights Woods, and I live 2 doors down from the subject property. Thanks for letting me speak, and thanks for reviewing the letter from Greg James to inform everybody. This has been going on for quite some time, and the HOA board has opposed this request for variance along with many neighbors who have expressed their concern to us. We don't believe there is a hardship. The hardship that is created is because the homeowner went ahead with construction without approval from the board beforehand. And so any hardship that is caused is because of that construction. The requested variance far exceeds any setbacks in the neighborhood existing. It is a gigantic garage, and I'll tangent a little bit. Some of the other homes that they're referencing, the 2 others that have detached garages that were done 30-some years ago, before I lived there, before the situation, they're single-car detached garages. They're very small. They hold 1 car, and they weren't approved. That's correct. But sometimes with this association, you get, stops and starts, and right now we have a decent association who's trying to keep and maintain the look and the feel of the neighborhood. And this garage is essentially a 4-car garage that they're proposing, 2 and 2. So the neighbors that have expressed concern are worried about, is this going to be a commercial garage? Are they going to have air lines? Are they going to have lifts? Are they going to be painting there? It creates a zoning problem. And if they ever sell the house and they buy it, what are they going to do with this gigantic garage that does not fit the neighborhood? This property also backs up to our community park, and a lot of the neighbors that have expressed concerns say that, it's not the homeowners on either side of this property that are concerned. It's the entire 144 homes that use the park that would be looking at the back of this rather large structure, and it does not fit the look and the feel of the neighborhood. So again, we've talked about the HOA has different setback requirements, has different use restrictions. The way our attorney described it to us is you're allowed 1 house and 1 garage. And the other houses in the neighborhood, we proposed to the homeowner of moving the garage up against the house so that she has 1 garage and 1 house. We actually already denied this plan. We met with the homeowner. They presented the breezeway idea. We said a breezeway is not an acceptable solution to this. We would like the house and the garage to be connected. And we denied this plan once, and so we were surprised to be called up here again to go over the same plan. We have met with them several times. We're trying to work with them to figure out a solution. But as you stated, just because they went and built the slab without HOA permission does not mean that we're supposed to take that into consideration. We did not advise them to do it. I can't speak really to the comment that they connected with other board members before this, but I have spoken to the next-door neighbor, that's my next-door neighbor, and they have vehemently denied any connection or contact or approval that they gave to the neighbor. He's the treasurer. He shares emails, so when you go from one position to the other in the HOA, you keep the same email. So it's treasurer@hickoryheightswoods.com. We have no, on any of the emails, the president, the treasurer, the secretary has no communication from the homeowner presenting a plan before this. The original garage that was proposed, the detached garage, was actually a metal-sided pole barn that we rejected, met with them to try and explain it's got to keep the look and the feel of the neighborhood. It should have the same amount of brick, same amount of wood. It should look like an extension of the house. So again, we're under the bylaws of one house, one garage. We're concerned about what this large structure will look like. And again, we've met several times to try and figure this out, and unfortunately, we're here. And we've advised that if they proceed with construction without the homeowners association approval, we will have to file suit to stop construction. We have an obligation to the homeowners association and the residents to maintain the bylaws. Even if they are confusing, we have to maintain them regardless of what's happened in the past, because that's what we have to go on. We are trying to maybe rewrite them, but currently we have an obligation to maintain those bylaws to keep the look and the feel of the neighborhood. Thank you very much. I can answer any questions.
Yeah, Mr. McCauley?
Do you have a copy of your bylaws with you?
I do not have that, sir.
So we don't know what your bylaws say and how they read.
You do not, no. I'm happy to get that for you.
Mr. Desmond, did you have a question?
It was very similar. I was just seeing if he had that exact verbiage. I did go on the Hickory Heights Woods website. It's inaccessible to the public, though, as far as getting those bylaws. You have to be able to log in to view them, so.
Yeah, Mr. McCauley?
So you're stating that there are two houses currently that are not in line with your HOA deed restrictions? They have two unattached garages that weren't approved?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
But again, those are single-car garages.
Any other questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Eisenberger, I guess, has a question.
Has your homeowners association been in continuous operation? Have you had this webpage for a number of years?
I've lived there 11 years, and I've been on the board. This is my second time, and ever since then, it's been continuously operating.
Do you guys have newsletters? Do you have dues?
We
that are
do.
due?
We have an annual meeting. We have newsletters. We have the website. We have a Facebook page.
Is there a park sign that lists your webpage? You're actively advertising the webpage when you do the newsletters and the methods of contacting the board members?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
I have a question actually for city staff. A little bit of gray area about the, I guess, Venn diagram of where HOAs and zoning kind of overlap, because I mean, as far as I understand, really, we don't have anything to do with what the HOA is doing at all, and we're just specifically concerned about what's in front of us. Am I correct in understanding that?
Yeah, so when the city receives applications for developments in neighborhoods, we are not lawfully allowed to consider the HOA regulations. We are only allowed to administer and enforce the city regulations.
And then us as a board, we're,
Right, your jurisdiction's limited to the Board of Appeals. So for example, tonight, they're asking for variances from 2 city codes.
Okay. And whether or not we grant this variance has nothing to do with whether or not they'll have additional legal dynamics with the HOA?
I believe that's probably correct, yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right, public hearing is still open. If there's anyone here who wishes to speak, feel free to come forward. Identify yourself, sir, and for or against, and
Yeah, good evening.
comments.
My name is Steve Crowley. I'm also a Hickory resident at large. I do have a copy of the bylaws if you guys would like to take a look at that. I pulled it up. I'll offer that to you while I speak briefly. So I think Matt articulated this quite well. Some of the concern for the neighbors that back up to the park, if you go back a couple of slides, you can get a size and scope in terms of what this park is, that this garage would back up against. I think we'll put it in context here in terms of what we're talking about with the easement. Myself, I'm not in favor of that. It's going to be certainly something that's going to be in view of the park. So if we could go back a slide or two, I think the diagram that had with the yellow coloring on the homeowners. Couple more, please. Right there. Oh, go back. Yep. So that large area behind there is a public park. So as Matt mentioned, there's 144 homes that back up against that. Where we're talking about having that is in the upper left corner of that red square or object there. And so that concern is for all of those homes that are backing up there from a home value, right? In essence, it's going to be impacting the line of sight to what neighbors have to the park, not allowing that easement, and that's the biggest concern, true, is what that's going to be down the road, right? In addition to what Matt said, we're concerned for what the property is going to be used for. It's going to be for future equity for those homeowners around the park. So for me, myself, I'm not in favor of it.
Yes, Mr. McCauley.
What property do you feel impedes their sightline?
I would say the immediate circumference around that half circle there. So probably 2653 through 5629. If you have a direct line of sight to that property, and as you start to move north, right, you would have less of an observation unless you turn your head to the left. But in essence, any of those homes, at any point, you know, they all back up to that park. That's one of the major selling points, is that park is the only public space in this neighborhood.
I'm sorry, ma'am, we'll come back in a second.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Oh, sorry, the phone.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Mr. Evans.
I do have concerns about us having a record of what some of the board members have looked at that might influence their decision. I'm not sure we want to address that, but typically if people bring things to a meeting, there's an opportunity for all board members to see it and leave a copy with staff. We haven't had that opportunity tonight.
No, that's duly noted. I personally didn't look at it, but I think it would be, I don't think any other members of the board had a chance to look at it, but I think it would be nice to be able to have all of us take a look at that. Yeah, Mr. McCauley.
Basically, from, with the question earlier, we're looking at it from a city standpoint. Does this fit our ordinances, yes or no? If it doesn't, does it fit our practical difficulties, yes or no? And the whole HOA restrictive covenant agreements and deed restrictions have nothing to do with it. So what would happen is we rule on it from a city standpoint. If there's still a point of contention, that's when the homeowners association can make the decision if they want to continue with other action to move forward with preventing it from going up. So one doesn't have to do that. That's why I didn't want to look at it, because after that question was asked by Mr. Desmond, that's irrelevant. It doesn't mean anything. We're looking at it solely from a city standpoint, not from an HOA standpoint, correct?
Yeah, I mean, to be clear, we're not interpreting or making a determination about what the deed restrictions say or don't say. We don't have that jurisdiction.
It's our 5 practical difficulties.
Okay. Yes, Mr. Eisenbacher.
I would like to clarify that all my comments have to do with item E, which is the character of the neighborhood, and those restrictions on the neighborhood how they actually play out determines a lot of the character. The document that was presented was not a legal document. They've been speaking of a deed restriction. That's a legal document. So,
Yep. All right. We still have the public hearing open. If there's any other members here who would wish to speak. Otherwise, we will, Ma'am, we will come back to you, I think, once we close the public hearing.
go through the letters.
What's that? Yeah, we will go through at this point. We have a few written emails that were submitted, which we can, if Mr. Desmond, if you want to give us a quick kind of summary of the things we have in front of us.
We have 4 communications from various neighbors, one of which is more comprehensive, and it is from Mr. Greg James, who has indicated he's the president of the HOA, which I will set that one aside. But the other 3, we have from a neighbor, 5776 Hunters Gate Drive. She is not in favor. We have another at 5764 Hunters Gate Drive who is not in favor, indicating that they don't think it keeps with the character, safety, and long-term value of the neighborhood. And another one at 2669 Hounds Chase Drive, also that is not, opposes the variance. They also indicate it does not fit with the neighborhood standards and in violation of the bylaws. So those are from 3 individuals. And then the broader document, which I won't go into, I won't read the whole thing because it's pretty comprehensive, but it basically gives a timeline of communications with the homeowner and the various, there's got to be, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, a dozen interactions that the HOA had with the homeowner, all of which rejecting the plan. These started September 17th, 2025. The most recent on this list was December 12th of 2025. So it shows, a fair amount of communication between the HOA and the homeowner. Indicate, and the summary of it is that basically they prohibit, their indication is they prohibit all detached structures and multiple garages within a single lot. Which again, this is all HOA related and not really within the purview of anything that is in our realm as a board, as far as I understand from city staff.
Okay.
And there was nothing else from email I asked Mr. Evans before we started.
Okay, thank you. All right, there's no one else coming forward in the auditorium, and we've read our written correspondence.
Wait.
Sir, would you like to speak?
My name is Tom Johnson, and I live at 2581 Hounds Chase. I'm actually on the park, and I'm against this. I think I have a question about the permit. Was the permit issued without anybody knowing what the size of this was or what it was going to be in relationship to the city restrictions on easements?
Sir, I don't know that we can answer that question for you. I think this is your opportunity to give us information and your view of it, but I don't think we can answer those questions about the permitting. I think Mr. Evans has spoken to that earlier. And that's pretty much all we know.
I was just curious about that because it wasn't addressed specifically, and it seems a little loosey-goosey if you just get a permit to build something without looking at some kind of a plan with easements and all that. But regardless, I'm not for this at all. I think it's going to hurt our property values. It's going to, make the back end of the park look somewhat unsightly. Every day, my wife and I walk the entire subdivision, every day, except for like today when it's 2 degrees. But of all the houses there, I haven't seen anything that really looks like a detached building that doesn't belong there. And this thing certainly has the potential to do that. I'm worried about my property values. I'm worried about what they were talking about in the future. What's, they sell a house, what's going to go in there? Somebody that is running an auto mechanic thing or something out of their home. So I'm opposed to this, and I just wanted to go on record as that. And I was curious about how the permits are issued and how this could go through without anybody seeing a site plan of where this thing was going to sit. That seems negligent to me. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Okay, anyone else? Otherwise, we will close the public hearing. All right. Thank you for the comments, and Mr. McCauley.
You bringing it back to the board,
Well, I think I'd like to invite the
applicant?
applicant back forward if there's any questions from the board members. So if the applicant would like to come back to the podium, and some of the board members may have questions based on the public comment, public hearing.
Hello again. It seems like a lot
Hold
of
on,
the.
I think
oh,
Mr.
I'm sorry.
Eisenbacher wants to.
No, I
Go ahead.
have, the one specific question from earlier is which houses have a second or a detached garage? Were you able to find any of those?
Oh, I didn't look them up. Do you want to see a picture from my phone? Or
I think
no?
that's probably a bad idea, unless we have something that all of us can kind of look at, or if we have a number, we can, like,
I just
you
don't know
know,
the address numbers.
look at from the map. That
Google
maybe-
Maps it, that would show up on the public record at
But it's
least.
something I think we need to have kind of in front of all of us, as
Okay.
Mr. Evans said.
It seems like a lot of this conversation is HOA versus city ordinances. So unfortunately, from what Matt said, I know he's stressed that he was, somewhat on the board throughout these 11 years. I've been in the sub 25 come this summer. Like I said, a month and a half of reaching out to people. I can give you dates, text message, whatever, all of that. I have all of that documented. It is a shame that my next-door neighbor, on 3 separate occasions, is now rescinding his expression of positive things he's said to me throughout this whole process. I'm disappointed in that, of course. He moved in a couple of years ago, lovely family, but I'm very disappointed to hear that.
Excuse me, could you step a little closer to the microphone?
Oh, yeah, ma'am, could
Oh,
you?
I'm sorry, I'm
we-
sorry,
Yeah,
I'm
we need to
sorry.
make sure this is picked up through the
Okay,
microphone.
I'm sorry. So that disappointment hits kind of hard. This addition is the exact same roof line of my home. It is not near the park at all. My pool sits at the park. This is at my home. It does not impede anyone's view of the park. 2572 has a little nugget. They can't even see the park because they have trees and park bench, or a bench. They can't even see the park because they sit low. My pool is there. 2584, directly next door, they have many trees. They look directly straight out to the park. 2669 is Mr. Oseki's home. He has that looks directly out that way. 2653 is that way. This will impede no one. That is a huge point of contention, it seems. And another part, it is the same exact roof line. So it is not impeding anyone. People that drive by my home right now don't even know I have a garage because it's a side entry and it's the exact same roof line. It sits lower than my home right now. And this garage is the same exact roof line of my existing. And will sit up. I do have a big yard, thankfully, and very blessed to have that. Number 2 on the board is building a behemoth of a garage and putting mechanical lifts in there to work on cars. Ours is not a commercial garage. Ours is low to store cars. We are not building what our number 2 on the board is building, if that needs to be known. We are here to follow city ordinances. The board, we have, just like what they have probably provided, dates, times, emails, texts, everything, inviting over, conversations to the nth degree to get this done for 6 months now. Completely compliant with everything that they have asked, since October. The materials are exactly the same, mirror image of garage, of what is there to there. Everything is exactly the same. Property values. Doesn't matter what goes in it. It's going to be used for our purpose. Lived there for 25 years, hope to be there as long as possible. I don't know what else to say. I hope it's city ordinance stuff and not this HOA. We can deal with them after the fact. But we have followed everything that they've asked, and I hope that that's stressed to you guys if you guys vote on whatever.
Okay, thank you. All right, Mr. Desmond, do you have any follow-up questions?
You mentioned earlier one of the other practical difficulties was an easement. What is that easement specifically? Is that relative to the park?
We have a 9-foot easement to this side. The neighbor has a 9-foot easement that I believe is just utilities. In the back, there's a 12-foot easement, and I think that's drainage, because there's 2 drains on either side, or like the drainage, the holes in the ground. And it sits, does it sit 35 or 45 feet? I believe it's 45.
Yeah, well, right now,
Or
it's 35 feet from the back of the garage
12-foot
to the
easement.
property
yeah.
line.
So it's like 47
that would-
feet
yeah.
in, and
Be 20 feet away.
and the pool sits literally at that 12-foot so the pool sits way back.
I guess my question is, are those easements impeding on moving the structure elsewhere?
Are the easements? That's a you
Independent of
question.
the HOA dynamics?
Depending on what?
Independent of not considering any of the HOA dynamics, moving the structure around, is that impeded by those easements?
So that 9-foot side yard setback right there, basically, and we just found out at a later date when Chris, the building inspector, came by to do the footing inspection that, because we gave it a little bit of wiggle room. We didn't know exactly where we were as far as where that easement lies. So it turns out, I don't want to confuse the board by any means, but it turns out we're actually about 11 feet. So we're like another 2 feet off that easement. So we do have some slack there. As far as the rear yard easement, the rear yard setback according to the easement, I know this, we're trying to design this according to what was already in place, and I know you guys kind of disregard that. That's not, you're not supposed to use that for your, for any of your approvals, but basically, the plot plan that you have in front of you is where this, this garage floor is placed.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other questions? I don't think so.
I just want to add one more thing. A couple items were brought up through public hearings. So this was a conventional, it was just a detached garage, vinyl sided, a garage that you would see every day. This wasn't a metal pole-borne type of huge, gigantic garage. And on top of it, there is no way, this is a 2-car garage. It's 24 foot wide, 30 feet deep. Is it a oversized 2-car garage? Yes. But there is no absolute way you could fit 4 cars in this garage. So I just want to make that clear.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Can you give me the addresses of the people that voted no? Am I allowed to have those? You mentioned them earlier, but I didn't write down the addresses of people that came in and voted no.
Oh.
Or emailed
Well-
no's.
They're part of our record.
Okay, then I can look them up.
I
Yeah,
can,
they're part of the
That's
public
okay.
I can
record.
provide the copy of those emails to
Okay,
you.
thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We
Thank you.
appreciate it. Okay, we will now take this back to the board for any deliberations, discussion, motions. Mr. McCauley?
Couple comments. First of all, when I went out and viewed the property and looked at the current state where it's at, my first question to Mr. Evans was, how did they get a permit for this? And why I said, what's going on? That's already been started and everything else. And when we looked at our ordinances for the city, that fit and conformed to our city ordinances for an unattached garage. Its size, its location, so it would conform to city standards. When it didn't conform to city standards is when they added the breezeway, because now it becomes an attached garage. So at that point in time, that's when the applicant comes to us, because now they need a variance because it doesn't fit the ordinance for attached garage, but it did for the other one. So this is I have mixed emotions on this, being a former president and on the board of my HOA in Troy. They're two separate entities, and you got to separate them as two separate entities. If we were to approve this tonight, then if the homeowners association isn't happy with it, then they can at that point in time take them to court to get them to stop them to do that. That's their prerogative. But I support homeowners associations. I support their intentions to maintain the integrity of a neighborhood. I think it's very important. I think that's what makes Troy what Troy is. So from that standpoint, ignoring that is difficult from my standpoint, but I will ignore it because we have 5 practical difficulties it has to meet, and it has to get approval of a board to be able to do that. So I'm listening to my board members at this time.
All right, who's next? Mr. Eisenbacher?
As I see it right now, it doesn't matter if we vote yes or no, the homeowner, per the city ordinances, can have a garage. Everything else is outside of our control. Without the breezeway, it passes all the ordinances. If we give them the variance, then they can have a breezeway. And the difficulty I have is we have no evidence that other than the fact that it's been stated by both the homeowners association and by the petitioner that there are other houses in the neighborhood with detached garages and with extra attached garages. We have no evidence of what that character is other than these aerial views, and me looking through the aerial views of publicly available Google Maps, I didn't pick any out, mostly because there's lots of trees in the neighborhood. So my hangup is if we grant the variance, we're violating the rule about it being a petitioner-created problem. Because if we don't have the breezeway, it's perfectly fine to have the garage. That's it.
So where I'm I'm not caught. I think where my mind is, so it's the petitioner, the applicant's responsibility, it's their burden to prove all 5 elements for the statement of practical difficulty. Get to the first one, exceptional characteristic of the property. In their letter tonight, pointed to the irregular shape of the parcel as one of the reasons, and this whole dispute over the HOA deed restriction as the second, or the rules. So we're not here, as we've already said, we're not here to interpret, decide, resolve that dispute between the applicant and the homeowners association. We don't have that jurisdiction, we don't have that ability. That's outside of what we're doing. So as I look at it, the applicant had the ability, as Mr. McCauley said, to build a detached garage on its face without a variance, regardless of the shape of the property. So to build that structure is, they don't need a variance. To say to us, the HOA says prevents us from doing it, we don't have the authority to step into that controversy and make a determination, yes or no. It's not like we have a court order in front of us that says this, you can't do this or can't do that. So as I look at it, I don't know that I'm satisfied that the first statement of practical difficulty has been satisfied. There is a way to build a detached garage on the property without a variance, and it's really up to the applicant to determine if that's what they want to do. And, whatever happens from that is what happens from that. If there's a legal dispute, if there's a court action, that's kind of, it's regrettable that would happen, but that's not something for us to really consider or take into account. So I'm not certain that I'm persuaded that the first element has been satisfied. And I'm also not sure that E has been satisfied, given just the general dissatisfaction from the neighbors and concerns about its impact on the neighborhood. So that's kind of where I'm at. But any other board members?
All right, well, I would say that I am as pro-homeowner as you can pretty much get, but Mr. Eisenbach has a real point. Pretty rarely do we have the metric where this problem is created by the current or previous owner, but his statement that, in effect, it is created by the homeowner based on the fact that they do have a buildable option by city standards, but by attaching it, which is a dynamic they created, which isn't, they were pressured into it by an HOA dynamic, but it is the reality. That is, I don't see an easy way to craft a motion to approve it while making the statement that that is not homeowner created when it is. So that is very difficult from a procedural perspective on how to even craft a motion that would be valid, in my opinion, which is not an easy thing to say, but again, the HOA has nothing to do with us, and unfortunately, we can't just turn around and say, well, it's outside of our purview to solve that problem. So I just don't see really a way to make this a passable motion.
Okay, any other member of the board wishes to have any discussion? Or I think maybe we have a motion to present? Do we need to deliberate further? So this is, we have 5 members of the board. We need 4 votes to still approve or reject a motion. Yeah, Mr. Eisenbacher.
In light of, I was thinking that the best way that we could possibly get to a resolution was try to establish the character of the neighborhood, attached, detached, whatever. Does the association prefer, as a arbiter of character of the neighborhood, for it to be attached versus detached? That still doesn't fix our problem with our 5 criteria. just doesn't work. And so I believe the only way we can move forward is with the rejection, unfortunately. And the homeowner can work it out with the homeowners association like was previously stated, because that's outside of our purview and outside of the information we have. Saying that, I would make a resolution for denial, which is very rare for me. Looking at our resolution template for the denial, it's because for item 1, the characteristic of the property did not preclude it from the additional garage in a detached form. Second one, it is this property. Third one, it's not of a personal nature, it's just a garage, common use of property. The fourth criteria, this was created by the current owner because they have a method to comply with the city ordinance without the attached garage. And item J,
E.
oh, I'm on the next page, they have it lettered different. The fifth item is, I have no opinion on it, but the previous 2 items that did not meet are the basis for the denial.
All right, motion
Second.
seconded by Mr. Desmond. All right, so the motion on the table is to reject the variance request for the reasons stated by Mr. Eisenbacher on the record, not satisfying the exceptional characteristic, and also that it was difficulty created by the current owner. Seconded by Mr. Desmond. Any further discussion? This is a challenging one, but any further discussion or comments? Mr. McCauley.
Yeah, we want to state that this is for 2578 Devonwood, the address that we
Yes.
are motion to deny their request for zoning variance. So that way it's stated what the address is.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, that's understood. Any further? Otherwise, Mr. Evans, I think we're ready to proceed on the motion. So yes would be to support the motion to deny.
Mr. McCauley,
Yes.
Mr. Bossenbrook,
Yes.
Mr. Eisenbacher,
Yes.
Mr. Kenkre,
Yes.
Mr. Desmond.
Yes.
All right, motion to reject the variance request has passed, 5 votes. So the variance request has been denied. Thank you, everyone. This is a difficult one and a lot of things we had to navigate through, but I appreciate the applicant's time and also all the public hearing comments. We will now move ahead to our 6th item, which is communications. Anything, Mr. Evans, from the communications?
No communications.
And miscellaneous business?
No miscellaneous business.
Okay. We can open up for public comment. Sir, you have public comment?
I just wanted to thank you for your consideration. I appreciate it.
Well, we
Thank you.
appreciate your consideration and your clients as well. All right, hold on one second. No more public comment? And Mr. Evans, do we have anything for February?
If there's not a check in my inbox tomorrow morning, we won't have anything for February, so I'll know sometime tomorrow morning.
Okay. All right, that concludes tonight's meeting, and we will see you at our next meeting.